It's the Road to World Cup 26 podcast, your deep dive into everything FIFA World Cup every single week. Part of the Global Sports Podcast Network.
Wherever you are listening in the world, you're listening to the Road to World Cup 26 podcast with me, Nick Britten, and my faithful friend, companion, sidekick, old hound, Mr. Ken Davies. How are you, Ken?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. Reeling is the word that I would use. Reeling from your amazing performance in the final weekend of the Premier League Fantasy League, where you managed to amass, and amass is the word, everyone, 94 of your fantasy football points on the final day, which meant he leapfrogged from second place into clear first place in the Road to World Cup Fantasy League. So hats off. Well done you. Well done, Bruno Fernandes. It was tour de force.
It was fantastic managerial masterclass. That's all really I can say. Yeah. And there are only three of us in the Road to World Cup 26 podcast. Ken came last. I was sitting in second.
I won it last year, though. It's only fair.
You did win it. Yeah, you did win it last year, to be fair. And but in my two other leagues, Ken, I won both my other leagues. On one of them, I was way ahead anyway. That didn't really matter.
Oh, yeah,
But another one, I was fifth going into the last day.
Wow.
And 94 points took me from fifth to first, thanks to triple captaining Bruno Fernandes in a piece of absolute genius. When Man United,
yeah, Bruno had nothing to do with
goals,
this. Nothing to do with it. It's all down to you,
what.
wasn't it? Yeah. It's all down to you.
If I see Bruno in passing, I'll buy him a pint. No doubt about it.
Yeah.
Anyway, listen, the World Cup is around the corner. We've only got a couple of, what have we got? 2 episodes to go before it actually starts, something like that, maybe 3. And very, very exciting. Lots of stuff going on, lots of squad stuff happening. Today we're going to be looking at 2 squads that we didn't get around to last week. So we're going to be looking at Brazil and Spain. We're going to kick off with a little bit of news, interesting news around FIFA being hauled before the authorities to explain their ticketing price strategy. And also we've got a fascinating interview with Jules Boykoff, the very well-known American writer and journalist and commentator. Speaking to him today about sports washing, greenwashing, rip-off World Cup. He's just written a book about all of this. It's a really good chat. So we'll be having that as well during the podcast. So lots to get through today. Ken, we're going to kick off. Oh, yes, of course. We've got Kenny's quiz. And I'm delighted to say, Kenny's quiz, by the way, we are seeing a return of You Are the Ref for this week.
Oh, my
which
word.
Is my favorite. I warn you, mate. I warn you.
Oh, no.
I doubt there are many refs from FIFA who are going to the World Cup this year who are going to know the answers to some of these questions.
Right.
I spent ages looking at this.
Does one involve a corner flag?
It depends where you want to insert it. I spent ages. I thought it's one of the classic things. I had 10 minutes to put the quiz together yesterday when I was preparing for the podcast. 45 minutes later, I was still doing rules of the game quiz because I just get I could do them for hours.
I know.
I just get lost in them. I love it.
I suspect that means these are going to be very, very hard and very esoteric. You know, if
they are quite
blades of
esoteric,
grass, going to be anyway.
No, it's not that. It's not that. Do you know what it is when you do these rules of the game sort of quiz? They just present you with scenarios that never ever happen in real life.
Yeah, I can imagine. So I'm looking forward to that.
So if the goalkeeper takes off his jersey and runs off the pitch and gives it to a dog, and the dog runs on the pitch and scores a goal, what's the decision? It's like there's just sort of random questions like that they ask you.
Wow, I can't wait. That sounds good. I think I've got a chance with the dog and the jersey question.
Well, he's Harry Kane's back up. He's Harry Kane's back up for England this summer. So let's hope he's good. Right. Let's kick off with some news, Ken. And FIFA have been hauled, as we say in the UK, has been hauled before the beaks, which essentially means they've got to go and explain themselves. What are they having to explain and why?
Well, it's in, if you like, do you remember the conversation we had 2 weeks ago about the Californian Attorney General saying there's something not quite right here about FIFA's pricing policy, ticket policy, and particularly their actions after people have bought tickets. Well, that seems to have triggered a few other attorney generals around the United States to look at this as well. And in fact, in a combined action, the Attorney General of New Jersey, Jennifer Davenport, and the Attorney General of New York, Letitia James, have subpoenaed FIFA to appear before them to explain this whole process. There's an allegation that FIFA have artificially inflated prices and misled fans. And together with the Department of Consumer and Worker Protection, they have subpoenaed FIFA, which means that they've got to release some internal documents and some information and come before the court. Essentially, what they're worried about is a fact, really, which is that the variable pricing of FIFA's tickets, it means that for 90 of the 104 games, FIFA, the tickets that FIFA have been selling off have been 34% higher than when they started, through the shenanigans and things that have been happening in terms of changing where people are sitting, introducing new seats afterwards, and all that kind of thing. So, essentially,
is this just simply not the mechanics of dynamic pricing then?
No, it doesn't seem to be that. It seems to be a situation, it appears to be a situation where people were sold things which then changed and to their detriment. So essentially that boils down to being misled about the location of tickets. An example of that might be you've got the front row and then you haven't got the front row, things like that. And, the creation of more expensive, like front row tickets, if you like, after the initial sale. So that's another example of that. So it's essentially what it seems to be is that the consumer protection laws in America, the attorney generals are concerned that FIFA have been flagrantly abusing those. Now, time will tell whether that has been the case. We don't know. But there is sufficient concern on the part of the Attorney General of New Jersey and of New York to haul FIFA in and say, you better explain this. I suspect this is going to become a very, very serious issue for FIFA. Now, will it change anything in the immediate term before the World Cup? Maybe not. But I would not be at all surprised if there's some kind of long ongoing issue here with FIFA and what happened with ticket prices at this particular World Cup. So it's going to be one of these where we watch this space. FIFA have made no comment. FIFA are just not talking about it. But I suspect it's actually something which is bubbling up to be a very big problem for FIFA.
Well, it is very interesting. And there's an interesting quote from Jennifer Davenport, who called FIFA's process a gauntlet of confusion, fake scarcity, and impossibly high prices. Now, one wonders if, and we don't know how long this sort of thing is going to take forever, isn't it? No, I mean, nothing's going to happen before the World Cup. You wouldn't have thought. And the FIFA will probably try and politically kick this into the long grass as much as they can and delay it as much as they can. If they are found guilty of anything, does that open the door to litigation? Does it open the door to some kind of legal actions on this? This could be a big story.
It could be a big story.
Could be a big story.
In America, you often get class action. So if this proves to be true, then literally everybody who's bought a ticket for the World Cup could be involved in a class action. I mean, we're putting the cart before the horse, but it could be.
Yes,
like
we are.
That.
Yeah.
It could be like that. So the stakes are very high, and there'll be, if this does go against FIFA, there's going to be a lot of lawyers rubbing their hands together in America, looking forward to taking FIFA further on this. So it'll be an interesting story to watch. It'll be a bubbling story that carries on, I think, for a while. But it does all fit into and feed into two themes and narratives that we've really been aware of for quite some time on here, which is one, the whole rip-off World Cup story, and also I just think we're going to see some empty seats at the World Cup this year, because this is just all negativity, isn't it, in terms of the value proposition that the World Cup represents.
Very much so. Very much so. It's very interesting. And look, the tournament kicks off in a couple of weeks, so we'll see. Is there any timescale for this? Finally?
No,
I mean, are they in a hurry, or are they just kind of
Well, I suspect they are in a hurry, but no, they've not actually said you've got to appear before us in the next 2 weeks. But we may have more on that by the time we do the next podcast, I think.
Yes, I mean, I assumed nothing would happen before the World Cup, but actually, they may have the power to drag them in next week. I don't know.
Yeah, we shall see.
We'll see. No, very interesting. Yeah, very interesting that. We'll see. I was speaking to somebody the other day, an England fan who's going to the World Cup, going to New York, watching England versus Panama at the MetLife Stadium, and seemed to be blissfully unaware that it would cost them £100 for a very short, $100, should I say, for a very short train journey and this, that, and the other. And they're like, oh my God. But I said, well, you should be able to get your hotel nice and cheap, though, because there's still plenty of rooms available. Right, let's have a quick look at a couple of squads then. We're going to look today at Brazil and Spain. I'll kick us off, shall I, with Brazil. The big story is obviously Neymar. There was, I don't know, a little bit of a false game of will he, won't he? Because I think reality says he was always going to go, but he's been injured for forever, and then he's come back and got injured again, and come back and got injured again. And Carlo Ancelotti's given him lots of time to prove his injuries, prove his fitness. I don't know whether he has proved his fitness, to be honest with you. I'm not quite sure where he's at in his ability to take to the field and play football for any more than 10 minutes here or 10 minutes there. But it may be that that's all they want him to do. And simply having him in the squad is enough because of all the PR, all of the media, all of the hype, all of that. And actually, there's been lots coming out over the last 6 months since this story started rolling. And we've discussed it here and there on the podcast that all the other players, even the senior players in Brazil's squad, sort of just look up to him. So just to have him there, he's this kind of seismic character just to have in the camp.
Yeah.
I know I totally agree with taking him for all of those reasons. And we talked a lot. We talked last week, didn't we, about England and Jordan Henderson? And I talked about non-footballing reasons to take people to the World Cup because there are a lot of them that coaches must consider. I don't know. You're more about what happens on the pitch, and I don't think you think Neymar's going to influence much on the pitch, do you?
No, I don't. And I don't really buy the take someone as a talisman argument because, yeah, I do get that, there's definitely an argument that, this is about being away for quite a long period of time. You need people who are going to be motivators. You need people who are going to be good characters in the dressing room and positive from that perspective. By all that, but with a 26-man squad, given what we know about the squad, I think the squad rotation system is going to be very important in this World Cup because of the heat and all that kind of thing. I think the squads are never going to be as important. And I'm not sure with a 26-man squad, you can carry passengers. And it strikes me that Neymar might be a passenger. I don't think he's going to contribute a great deal on the football field. He might be a great bloke, but I'm a great bloke, but he hasn't asked me to go. It's, my view is that
that's open for discussion, I would say.
I mean, it would be, a long shot to expect me to go before Neymar in the Brazilian squad.
No,
I get
that's not the bit of your. That's not the bit of your point that I was saying is open for discussion. It was whether or not you're a good bloke.
So my view is on that. I actually think that's a mistake. I mean, if he's not going to contribute on the pitch, you shouldn't be there in at this World Cup. And go as a supporter. Go as part of the backroom staff. But if you're not going to be in a position where you can play the football, don't bother.
Okay, let's just look at that then. 34 years old. He's had an injury hit, well, it seems forever, but certainly the last year or two. But if he's fit and playing, surely he can still impact on the pitch, can't he?
No, I don't think so. If you've been out of the game for that long, if you're that far away from match fitness, you're not just going to turn up and start playing when the games matter. You might be able to play against a team that doesn't matter, but that so could anyone. When the chips are down, when you're playing England or Spain or Argentina, you won't get anywhere near it, and therefore I don't think there's any point to it. But that's just me being callous, maybe.
I think there's a little bit more to it than that. I think if you're Brazil and you're looking to do something in the last 15, 20 minutes of a game, and you're the opposition and you see Neymar coming on, there's something psychological still
Still.
that will have a little bit, not massive. It's not like Messi coming on or something like that, or Yamal coming off the bench for Spain, which hopefully he'll do early. We'll come to that in just a moment. His fitness. Yeah, I still think there's something that if you're a right back or a left back and he's coming on, you just think, what's going to happen here?
Maybe 8 years ago.
Maybe 8 years ago. Yeah, I mean, look, his World Cup record hasn't been great. He didn't get picked for the 2010 World Cup when he should have done. I think he was brilliant in the Brazil World Cup of 2014, but was then injured quite severely by one of the Colombia players. 2018, he wasn't really fit. Qatar, he was okay, but Brazil didn't have a great tournament. Went out in the quarters. He'll feel there's a bit of unfinished business here. I don't know. We'll see. But I mean, look, Neymar is the big story of the Brazil World Cup. Under the radar, another interesting selection, I think, is the young player Rayan, who's come to prominence in the second half of the season here in the UK, playing in the Premier League with Bournemouth. He's had an excellent season, half season. Really contributed to Bournemouth's very, very strong end to the season, which has seen them qualify for European football next year for the first time in their history. He's in. Brentford striker Igor Thiago, he's in after a very good
Pleased about that
Premier League season, which then kind of flips the coin to who isn't in. Well, obviously we knew that Estevao and Rodrigo were both injured and therefore unavailable. That's made Ancelotti's selection slightly easier, but I guess the surprise of the squad was no João Pedro. And he's had a very good. Well, has he had a very good
start to the season?
He's scored plenty of goals, but Chelsea have had a pretty poor season all round.
Terrible.
And I think
second half.
Yeah, he a bit like Cole Palmer for England. He's been a victim of what's been going on at Stamford Bridge, both on and particularly, and probably more pertinently, off the pitch, with just chaos. Chaos seems to reign at Chelsea, and both Palmer and now João Pedro seem to have fallen foul of that by not being selected for the World Cup. So interesting. I think
it's interesting. I thought João Pedro would go. I mean, I do rate him. I thought he'd be ahead of Thiago. So I'm pleased to see Thiago go because I rate Thiago.
Yeah, I'm. It's interesting that because Thiago's a kind of. It's very, very, very disrespectful to call him a one-trick pony, but his game is getting in behind. Its power, its pace, its strength. If teams employ really, really low block, I'll be interested to know how he's going to get on with that because he does miss a lot of chances. Thiago, I really like him. He's one of the very few players going back to my fantasy league team, my league-winning fantasy league team. He's one of the very few players I've had in from day one. I've only had a couple in from day one, and he's one of them. I've had him in all season because I just think he's a great player. But he's a lot of his goals for Brentford this season have come when he's gone in behind, and I wonder if teams put 11 men behind the ball, as a lot of them will do against Brazil. Is he as clinical if he gets one chance in one game and he needs to score? Will he score it? And actually, if you're looking at that scenario, I would say João Pedro is probably a better bet. But equally, the other side of the coin is he offers something different to other players in the Brazil squad. So if you're looking for variety and if you're looking to mix and match it up for any scenario, then he's a great pick.
Yeah, I'm pleased about it. I think he deserves it. So
good
for him.
Lucas Paquetá is in, which is a bit of a surprise because he kind of fell down, I think, the selection order this season. But he's in, and Endrick is in. I don't think that's a great surprise. Again, a very good young player. So it's a very heavily loaded kind of defence and forward and midfield light kind of squad, which we expect because we expect Ancelotti to play a 4-2-4. Doesn't really need a lot of midfielders, but the midfielders are Bruno Guimaraes, who's had an up and down season at Newcastle.
Still a great player though.
Not really done much, but that's my point. He's still a great player. Really is a great player. Casemiro's had a brilliant season at Man U.
Yeah, he's he's like a phoenix from the flames, isn't he?
He's kind of rolled back the years, isn't he? Because it's only a couple of years ago where people were going, this guy needs to retire. But he's done really, really well. Paquetá, as we've just discussed, Fabinho and Danilo, they're the only midfielders in the squad. Lots of attackers. Endrick, Gabriel Martinelli's made it from Arsenal.
Good.
Thiago, we've talked about. Luis Enrique. Matheus Cunha, who's had a good season at Manchester United. Neymar, we've talked about. Rafinha from Barcelona. An
Good
obvious
team.
pick. Obvious pick. Ryan Vinicius Jr. from Madrid. So it's nice to see. It's nice to see somebody picking a Real Madrid player.
Yes, it is. Nice segue, Nick.
which we're going to come to in just a moment. So very, very top heavy. Lots and lots of attacking talent. And I expect Brazil. I'm more and more coming around to the idea of expecting Brazil to become a big threat in this World Cup.
Yeah, they're looking good. When you actually list out the players they've got at their disposal, it's pretty impressive. So yeah, looking forward to it. I just got a little, just as you were talking about that, the Brazil team, I got a little bit of excitement. I got a little bit, it's nearly. I'm looking forward to watching them play.
I thought I saw your three hairs stand on end.
They did. Yeah, they did. I thought, yeah. Won't be long now till they're actually we're seeing him in the gold and the blue, and it's always a World Cup then.
That's good. Yes.
Yeah, I enjoyed
Correct.
that.
Good.
Thanks.
Good.
Little frisson.
I don't want to know about that though. I'm glad you're sitting down. Right. Spain, it came to my surprise the other day, are not the number one team in the world in the FIFA rankings. I was surprised. I don't know why I was surprised, because I've always expected over the last few years to see Spain at the top of the rankings, because that's where they've been, but they're not. France are top of the rankings.
France are top, yeah. France.
Yeah.
That changed in the last ranking cycle.
That'll be why I didn't know. Ken, tell me about the Spain squad.
Okay, interesting. Some interesting developments here. Luis de la Fuente announced his squad earlier this week, 26-man squad, 16 of whom were part of the successful winning of the Euros 2 years ago when they beat England in the final somehow. And Nick alluded to the big headline. The big headline is, for the first time that I think in anybody's memory, there isn't a single Real Madrid player.
It's the first time in history.
Yeah, it would be. It would be the first time in history. There are, by the way, 8 from Barcelona, 3 from Atletico Madrid, 3 from which other team, Nick? Nicky's quiz. La Liga team. Not particularly high in La Liga, but there are 3. The other.
Well, your job was to go through the Spain team, so I haven't spent a lot of time on it. But I'm going to go for, is it Athletic Bilbao?
It is Athletic Bilbao.
I thought as much. Yeah.
You. That's clever. That's either clever or you've definitely done your homework on that. So yeah.
No, I haven't done my homework, but I did have a cursory glance at it the other day, and there was a player in there from Bilbao. Yeah. So who I was reading about. So that's what gave me my answer.
Yeah. Okay. Well, question 2 then: how many players in the Spanish squad are based with English teams?
Great question. I don't know, because I haven't gone through the squad in detail, because that was your job. I'm going to go for 6.
Good guess. 7, in fact. So headlines on this then. Obviously, because there's no.
Wait a minute. Who are they? Because I've got players in mind. But go on.
David Raya.
Arsenal.
Marco Corella from Chelsea. Chelsea player gets to go to the World Cup. Pedro Porro from Spurs.
I forgot about Porro.
Yeah, Rodri.
Why is Porro going?
I like
Porro World Cup player?
because of his
goodness
sake. He's an assist machine, isn't he, Porro?
No, he's a whinging machine, and he dives around so much.
No, I like Porro.
Go on. Who are the others?
Rodri, Man City.
Yeah, obviously.
Zubimendi from Arsenal.
Yeah, because he's come back to fitness now.
Yeah. Thankfully. In fact, there are 3 players from Arsenal in the squad. Mikel Merino from Arsenal as well, and Yeremy Pino from.
Yes, I knew Pino was going. Yeah, I knew Pino was going. Yeah, because obviously I've got. It was great to see Palace. But great to see Palace win the Conference League, by the way, on Wednesday night.
Yes. Congratulations to them. So missing out because Real Madrid are not represented really are Dean Huijsen and Dani Carvajal, who both players have served their country.
Yeah, Carvajal's been around forever, isn't he? He's been around forever. Very good.
He has, but he won't be there, which is sad. So highlights really, obviously Lamine Yamal, which is from Barcelona, who is obviously the 18-year-old wunderkind, as they say in in Germany.
Not Spain,
I don't know what they say.
Why? Yeah. What do they call him in Spain?
I don't know. But that's a good way of describing it. Obviously, wonderful player. We're all looking forward to seeing him play.
Yeah, he's the best. He's the best young player in the world, in my opinion.
No question.
And I was very worried the other week when he suffered a hamstring injury, and you don't want to be suffering hamstring injuries a couple of months before the World Cup. So I think the suggestion is he might not start the first game and eases his way into the competition, which is fine. Spain have got more than enough talent to win their group. We want to see as much as Lamel as we possibly can, but only when he's fit and ready.
Yeah, Luis de la Fuente said that he expects all the players to have a clean bill of health for game one, but definitely by game two. So there's clearly no issues, I don't think, in terms of any significant injury concerns. So he's pretty confident in that. So obviously got Yamal there, Mikel Oyarzabal from Sociedad, Rodri, Man City, who's a great player, Pedri from Barcelona, Cucurella from Chelsea, Marc Pubil from Atletico Madrid, yet to debut for Spain, but wins his place on the team. And another one just to mention from Barcelona, Eric Garcia, his first call-up since Qatar 2022. So he's had a very solid renaissance with Barcelona in the course of this season. So he's on the flight. Just looking at across the goalkeepers, you've got Unai Simon, you've got David Raya, so they're well catered for there. Obviously in defence, Porro, Marcos Llorente, who obviously great player, Aymeric Laporte, great player, very solid in defence. I mean, they are solid throughout.
Yeah, they're just full. I mean, it's interesting that David Raya, who's just won the Premier League and may win the Champions League, which is tomorrow night, is their second choice keeper.
Yeah, he's the same.
If Raya is your second choice keeper, how good?
Yeah,
how good is your first choice?
Yeah, but it's it is absolutely packed with talent, and they're rightly. I mean, I'm slightly surprised that France are above them. Went through the French team. The French team is pretty hot. We went through that last week.
Yeah, they are very good. They're very good. You can see why they're both joint favourites at this stage to win it.
Yeah, I think before the start of the World Cup, we will go through our full analysis of who's going to win everything. I think we'll do that because I think it's worth doing it because things have changed a little bit since we last did that. But yeah, great team, great prospects. And the more we talk about these teams, there's 4 or 5 or 6 teams, I reckon, you've got a chance with this.
Yes, I think you're probably right. What? Yeah. I
Spain,
don't know whether England.
France,
I don't know whether England's going to be one of them, though.
Oh, I think just on the edge of it.
I can't quite. Yeah, I mean, yeah. Anyway, we did England last week, so we'll move on.
So that's Spain,
yeah, okay,
and
so,
look forward to that.
Yeah, 2 very good teams and very good squads there, Brazil and Spain. Right, Ken, a word from our sponsors, and then we are going to hear from Jules Boykoff.
Okay, so the Road to World Cup 26 podcast has partnered with Bionic, the world's most personalised supplements, because your body is unique. And without knowing exactly what your body needs, if you just go and buy off-the-shelf supplements, you may be getting not enough of what you do need, maybe too much of the nutrients you don't need, and no one wants that. So Bionic provide 100% tailor-made supplements specifically designed for your body at exactly the right level. So why don't you click on the show notes, click the link, you'll get 50% off your first order.
It's the Road to World Cup 26 podcast, your deep dive into everything FIFA World Cup every single week. Part of the Global Sports Podcast Network.
You're listening to Road to World Cup 26. Now, we always like to hear from you, so do get in touch. The main email is roadtoworldcup26@gmail.com. You can get in touch with us on Spotify. You can get in touch with us on YouTube. We always, as I say, like to hear from you. We like to read out your comments. And indeed, let's face it, Ken and I are always struggling to think of things to do. So any ideas for the podcast are always very welcome. We like to entertain you. We like to bring you news. We like to bring you views. And sometimes, sometimes we like to bring you great guests. And that's exactly what we're going to do right here, right now. Jules Boykoff is a very well-known author and journalist. His latest book, Red Card, the 2026 World Cup, Sports Washing and the FIFA Greed Machine. And it's got FIFA and Donald Trump very firmly in his sights. And he's also written a memoir about his former life as a professional footballer, playing for the US men's national under-23s team. So he nearly got there. We might have been seeing him in the World Cup, maybe not this year, but maybe a few years ago. So he joins us now. So Jules, lovely to see you. Thanks very much for coming on.
Oh, thanks so much, Nick, for having me on the show.
You've got, as I say, you've got Donald Trump and FIFA in your line of sight. Now, let's face it, that's not the world's most exclusive group, is it? But what are your key concerns here? Because I read a piece you wrote the other day, and you've accused FIFA of sticking a big middle finger up at the climate change debate and a Donald Trump of greenwashing. What are your key concerns here?
Absolutely. So, yes, I mean, FIFA tends to talk a big green game, that they're into sustainability. There's an infamous video where FIFA president Gianni Infantino held up a green card for the planet. But, you know, the truth of the matter is when you scratch that surface, there's not much behind it whatsoever. And in fact, the 2026 World Cup is going to be the most polluting World Cup in the history of the event. And that's saying something after Qatar, where there was 1,300 flights coming in every single day, and they used these bogus carbon offsets. So, you know, the United States, one of the three host countries, just is not equipped to get people around unless they're going to fly. Our train system is not up to snuff. And so people are going to be flying, racking up these carbon miles that ultimately lead to what I would call a sporty carbon bomb. So, you know, that's one of the elements in play here that I'm glad you brought it up, because very few people are talking about it.
We looked at Qatar, and I think one of the big issues there was they had to build stadiums. I mean, the whole place, five years before the World Cup took place, just simply was not equipped to holding a major sports competition like this. So they had to build everything from scratch, and therefore you could see why the carbon footprint was so big. America, you would think, well, hang about, they've already got the stadiums, they've got the traffic and the transport infrastructure already in place. So therefore, it should be surely better in terms of the green agenda. It should be there and there already, but you're not saying that at all.
No, it's unfortunately going to be an absolute green nightmare. And, you know, you mentioned Qatar as a comparison point. It's really interesting to compare on lots of levels. Like, think about it. Once you got there, you could get around easily. Your ticket was your pass around town. It's a small country. There was a metro there. You could drive from venue to venue. That is just simply not the case in the United States. And so, you know, there are lots of ways of thinking about how different it is. Like, there were sports washing allegations against Qatar, and I think rightly so. They were trying to deflect attention from the chronic social problems and human rights woes, the labor woes that they were having, and try to look important and legitimate on the world stage while setting up money-making opportunities and political opportunities. That was leveled against Qatar at that time, I think correctly so. But, you know, the thing about sports washing, which is in the title of the book that you just mentioned there, is that it tends to be leveled in a sort of ethnocentric fashion, whereas those other people, if you will, whereas in one of the core arguments that I've been making is that sports washing is happening in the United States right now with Donald Trump, and Gianni Infantino is enabler number one.
Okay, so let's come on to that then, because when you talk about sports washing, and there's been a lot of it, and greenwashing, but particularly sports washing, in recent years, you kind of associate it with Saudi Arabia's drive to really infest themselves, if that's the right word, into sports all over the world. You obviously had Live Golf, which has now collapsed. They bought football clubs all over the place. And essentially, the argument being is they're doing it to deflect away from their human rights records. And it's generally been a kind of human rights issue. What is the issue when it comes to sports washing in the United States?
Yeah, great question. What might Donald Trump want to be deflecting attention from right now? I mean, could it be the Epstein files, where he's named thousands and thousands of times? Could it be his ever plummeting approval ratings? I mean, his approval ratings are lower than they've ever been in both of his terms as president. Could it be the epic fail of the Iraq war that he's carrying out alongside Benjamin Netanyahu in Israel that he doesn't want people to be talking about? I mean, we could go down the list. We could talk for 20 minutes, Nick, about all the things he's trying to deflect attention from. But here's the other thing about it is that this, yeah.
But no, I was going to say, just let me come in on that, and then apologies for interrupting you. But
No.
but the World Cup has been going to the United States now for, well, when was it now? 7, 8 years ago, when it was announced the USA and Canada and Mexico was going to host. So you could easily make the argument that actually this has been going on a long time, and it's only in the last maybe 2 or 3 years. The things that you're talking about here. So since Donald Trump's second year or second term of office came about, prior to that, there weren't any of the concerns that perhaps, or indeed, obviously, world events that we've got at the moment. So, are you suggesting that he's simply now, at this moment in time, using the World Cup to his own agenda, whereas before, potentially this could have gone down a very, very different route in terms of how it's promoted and the general feel of it?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, let's be real. President Joe Biden, who preceded Trump, he did the photo ops around the FIFA World Cup, but he wasn't really all that invested in sports. Whereas President Donald Trump has used sports to his political advantage more than any recent US president. And he's been doing this for a long time. And so, he owned a football team, a U.S. American football team way back in the day. And he understands that the power of sport is there to make him look macho and important on the world stage. All those UFC mixed martial arts fights that he goes to and sits ringside and talks to the fighters, that's resonant of a lot of the things that other authoritarian type leaders have done in the past. I mean, you can go all the way back to Mussolini in the 1934 World Cup and draw some parallels there. So I think that what's qualitatively different is that President Trump realizes the power of sports and he's grabbed onto it with both hands. He has stated multiple times that the World Cup that's happening this summer, the upcoming Olympics in Los Angeles, those are two of the most important events of his presidency. And then you throw in the fact that he's hosting a UFC event on the White House lawn 3 days into the World Cup, and you can tell that it means a lot to him. So it's a different kind of situation from way back in 2017 when they were putting that bid forward.
Do you think FIFA needs to stand up to him a little bit more? There's a sense, I think, that you live in the United States, so you get a better sense of all of this. But there's a sense that he's kind of got FIFA in his back pocket. And who is pulling the strings here when it comes to decision making? Is it Trump or is it FIFA? Would that be fair?
Yeah, I love that question because, I mean, Gianni Infantino has been helping Trump every single step of the way and not apparently pushing back in any of these ways that he should be. But the truth of the matter is, Gianni Infantino is interested in keeping the FIFA money spigot wide open, and he'll do what it takes. He's got kind of a strong track record of bopping from location to location and sucking up to authoritarian powers. I mean, 2018 World Cup in Russia, he actually played football in the Kremlin with Putin ahead of that, received a friendship order afterwards. He relocated to Qatar to hang out with the emirs and run interference about all the human rights violations that were happening around migrant workers. And now he's kind of doing the same, but maybe in a more extreme way with Donald Trump. I mean, Infantino has been in the White House more than any elected leader from around the world. He gave him the FIFA Peace Prize, as all your listeners will know. He even showed up to Melania's opening film event. I mean, this guy is doing what it takes to stay on Trump's good side. Now, some people are saying that it's going to give him a little bit of leverage to sort of dial back some of the concerns that people have around like immigration and customs enforcement rounding up people during the World Cup. But I've seen no evidence of Infantino's willingness to try to do things like that.
Yeah, it's interesting that because we've been talking on the podcast quite a lot about essentially what we started this about 6 weeks ago by dubbing it the rip-off World Cup because of the high ticket prices, the high hotel prices, the ridiculous transport costs, the cost of just getting there, flights. It just was so expensive. It appears that some of that is rowing back. Now, there have been some relaxation of immigration bonds and the costs of that for certain countries. Hotel prices are coming down because the rooms are empty. Ticket prices are coming down because the grounds are empty. Flight prices are coming down a little bit because people just simply aren't booking. Have they got? I think FIFA and the US have just got all this a little bit wrong in terms of how they're marketing. Are people just being put off going to the USA because of everything that you've mentioned, everything that's going on in the world at the moment, and America's image?
Well, if you look at the hotel data from the industry groups, they're very concerned. I mean, they were told going into this event that they were going to be making bank, and they're absolutely not. The hotel reservations are way down, and they attribute that directly to the way Donald Trump is talking about people immigrating to the country. They have ICE, Immigration and Customs Enforcement, running through the streets and often wearing masks and grabbing people. And when the Department of Homeland Security Secretary Mark Wayne Mullen was asked whether ICE would be at the stadiums enforcing, maybe even doing mass raids, he wouldn't take that off the table. And he said, in fact, they would be there at the stadiums and they would be carrying out their jobs around immigration customs enforcement. So if you're a racialized person or even just like a white guy from England who's thinking about going, let's not forget ICE has snapped up plenty of white people from Canada, Germany, you name it, and put them in detention for long periods of time. You're probably going to be thinking twice about this and just think, you know what, I'm going to wait for 4 years when it's back in my part of the world. Why bother with all that? That's not even to bring in what you're talking about with the high prices for everything. I mean, it's like hyper-capitalist USA meets the World Cup and is trying to extract as much as it absolutely can in the hyper-capitalist USA that we've come to sort of know and find in a disgusting way. So, you know, the world is opening their eyes to what it's like, I guess, to be in our country, and it's not a pretty scene right now.
I'm going to come on to ICE in just a moment, but you mentioned something there about sort of hyper capitalism, and it would appear that the ticket prices and transport prices, or essentially the whole World Cup, seems to be aimed at people who already live in America. So either Americans or expats, and people who are used to paying high prices for events. So you go to the NFL, you go to the NBA, you go to any kind of major sporting event in America, and it costs a lot more than it would do, say, in the UK or certainly in Europe. I mean, we complain about ticket prices for the football over here, but they're a lot more expensive than they are in Germany or other parts of Europe.
No question, no question.
Yeah, this is meant to be a World Cup. The whole point of the World Cup, I would have thought, was to invite and welcome people from all over the world. And they just don't seem to be interested in doing that. They don't seem to be bothered by doing that. And they think, and it looks like it's been the wrong decision all along in terms of their commercial strategy of, well, don't worry, we don't need to worry about people coming in because we'll just sell out to everybody who already lives here.
Yeah, I mean, you called it the rip-off World Cup, and you're absolutely right. I mean, part of the way that FIFA's doing this is they're controlling all the tickets, and they're not giving out cheap tickets to the host city and country. I mean, if you look back even just 12 years to the Brazil World Cup, they got some 400,000 tickets handed to them at low cost for locals. That's just not happening. They're trying to extract every last penny out. The New York mayor, Zoran Mamdani, made news by working behind the scenes with Arsene Wenger and apparently FIFA to get about 1,000 tickets for local New Yorkers at an affordable price. Well, God bless Mamdani. But, you know, you go back to 2014 that I just mentioned, 2010 in South Africa, where there was loads of tickets available for locals at very low prices. That is not happening. And one of the ways FIFA is doing this is by including what they call dynamic pricing. I mean, dynamic sounds kind of nice. I like dynamic stuff. But basically all that means is they're extracting the maximum that the ticket payer is willing to bear. Now, those prices might come down in time, but you know, we'll see. If they can't sell out stadiums, the prices might come down in a dynamic fashion. Here's the other thing. I mean, in the resale market, FIFA's really raking it in. I mean, if you try to resell your ticket at like 20 times the value of it, FIFA loves that stuff because they take 15% from you for selling it at that inflated touting price and 15% from the person who buys it. So they actually have an incentive to like raise the prices of tickets because they're taking a massive cut. I saw a ticket listed at more than $2 million the other day for the World Cup final. FIFA would basically get a third of that if it actually sold on the secondary market.
You buy it.
What's that?
Did you buy it at $2 million?
You know, I did not. I thought deeply about it, Nick, and then I just at the last minute I thought, nah, I'm going to save my $2 million that I have in my pocket right now.
It's interesting. The whole issue of dynamic pricing is an interesting one because at the Club World Cup last year, which of course was held in the US, when it got to the quarterfinal stage, so Chelsea were playing in the quarterfinal and they went on to win it, and they're a very well established Premier League club. In the last couple of days before their quarterfinal game, tickets which had started off, mid $400, $500 were down to $13. So you could go and watch that game for $13 because the demand wasn't there. So I wonder if people are looking at that and going, you know what, I'm just going to wait, I'm going to wait, I'm going to wait. And I'm going to wait until the last 48 hours before the game and see what the ticket price, and then kind of make my decision from there, because there's every chance that the ticket prices will come right down.
And I hope you're right. And I hope people do get to go to these games at an affordable price. But here's the thing. Infantino has been saying for years now that this World Cup is going to float everybody's economic boat in the United States. It's going to bring in some $30 billion in revenue. Nobody knows exactly where he's getting that. But that is totally reliant on tourists coming from outside, because you all spend 4 times as much as a local tourist does. And so but the point is, even if those tickets go down, and I really hope they do for people so they can actually go and enjoy the World Cup themselves, it still means that the United States will not be making nearly as much money as they were promised. There's an enormous gap between the bid back in 2017 and the delivery here in 2026.
No, for sure. Let's go back. Let's go back to the topic of ice, because I think this is as you've nailed this, and as you say, this worries people. Now, the image of ice from afar, so from the UK, for example, is horrendous. It is to people who don't live in America. I'm keen to get your perspective on this. Living in America, to people who don't live in America, ice look like a bunch of out of control mercenaries who are a law unto themselves and can go around and do exactly what they want with kind of no repercussion. That's the image that is portrayed in the media over here. How close to reality is that?
Yeah, I mean, I regret to inform you that that is the reality. I mean, a lot of times these officials with Immigration and Customs Enforcement show up with their masks like they just got finished robbing a liquor store or something, and now they're showing up to work, and then they're grabbing people, they're knocking them to the sidewalk, and even worse. I mean, we have seen U.S. citizens shot dead in the streets of Minneapolis by Immigration and Customs Enforcement or CPB officers as well, who are all over the place. And this is really a scary situation that we're in right now. Also, Immigration and Customs Enforcement is just grabbing people off the streets based on race. The U.S. Supreme Court says that's okay to do, or if someone's speaking with a different accent, that you could also okay to apprehend them. And so, there are thousands and thousands of people in detention who have done absolutely nothing wrong. On top of that, Nick, I would say that, I am concerned with ICE, and I'm very worried how they're going to behave, especially because we're less than a month out from the World Cup and we haven't gotten a definitive statement as to what they're going to do at the World Cup. But here's the other thing. In the United States right now, there's about a third of the population that's kind of like hardcore MAGA, Make America Great Again, who will just follow whatever the president says. And I watched a video the other day of some fans from Iraq who were on their way to Mexico. This was in March. For their final qualification match to see if they could make it to the tournament. And these Iraqi fans were in the Dallas-Fort Worth airport, and they were waving their flags, and they were having fun. They had their big banners. They're chanting, just like soccer fans will do all across the country in the World Cup. Well, what happens? They're just having a good time, and some white guy in the Dallas-Fort Worth airport bursts through them, starts yelling invectives at them, says and something like, you can't do that. This is the United States. So like what I'm extra concerned about, not just ICE, and I am concerned about ICE, I'm also concerned about everyday MAGA folks who feel emboldened in this political moment, knowing that Trump has their back, and they're just going to be rude to our guests here when they come to the United States. So that's another concern I have. I will say, Nick, on the flip side, that obviously everyone in the United States is not MAGA. Plenty of us are not. And I actually do see this as an opportunity for everyday people around the United States to show visiting tourists the love and say, look, this country, United States, is not equated with Donald Trump. So I'm also hoping we'll see a little bit of that for sure.
Yeah, I've been to the US twice in the last 6-7 months, and I've always found it a great place. A great place to visit. I find the people there really friendly, really welcoming. And you don't see you don't see the America that's portrayed perhaps in the media over here for obvious reasons, because it's a big country and everyday folk going about their business doesn't make international news. But I've always found it a very welcoming place, and I like going over there. And I really hope that we don't see any of these kind of situations that you're referring to. When you're saying about a third of residents and the third of the population are MAGA supporters. That kind of suggests to me, well, there's 2/3 of people here who should be railing against this. Where is the political will to stop the president or to stop Homeland Security or to stop whoever's controlling us, but to say, look, no, this is not going to happen. Leave the World Cup alone. Or does that
Yeah,
political will not exist?
I wish it was more evident. I mean, the Democratic Party is fighting back to a certain degree, and not nearly as much as I would hope. But here's the thing about like the history of the World Cup happening in authoritarian settings. And you might think, oh my gosh, he's saying the United States is an authoritarian setting. Don't take it from me. I mean, take it from other political scientists who wrote an excellent academic paper that said the United States is no longer a fully fledged democracy. It's actually what they call the new competitive authoritarianism of the variety you might see in Hungary under Orban before. But anyways, the concern is that in the United States, because we've sort of shifted into this new mode, we're going to resemble some of the things of the past. But at the same time, if you look at, like, say, 1978 World Cup in Argentina, where there was a military junta in charge there, the repression actually stopped during the World Cup when the global media came and were there and looking for stories. And so the hope is that President Donald Trump will be on his best behavior during the World Cup. Of course, that is just a hope, and he's kind of known for being quite the erratic fella, to make an understatement. So anything's possible. But if you look at the history, there's reason for hope. There's reason for people maybe standing up to Trump during the World Cup while the global media and other people are here. But that's the thing with sports washing, is that it actually is a gamble on the part of those who are trying to carry it out. Nothing is guaranteed. And I can tell you, there are activist groups across the country that are ramping up to engage in dissent around the World Cup. So that'll be something for us all to keep an eye on here this summer.
And somewhere, Jules, somewhere out of all of this, a game of football will break out, and I think that'll be that'll be good to watch. And hopefully, we can at some stage concentrate on the actual games. Jules, it's been lovely having you on the podcast. Thank you so much for coming on. As I said, your book, Red Card, the 2026 World Cup, Sports Washing and the FIFA Greed Machine, is out now and available on Amazon, I presume, or anywhere you get your books. I guess so. Go and get a copy of that. It's a great read. And for now, thank you very much indeed. It's been lovely to talk to you.
Thank you, Nick. Appreciate the chance to slow down and chat.
Jules Boykoff, that was fascinating, wasn't it, Ken? That was a really interesting listen.
I wish he'd get off the fence, though.
I mean, it's quite very outspoken.
He's not holding back, is he? He's not holding back. I suspect he won't be invited to the White House anytime soon.
No, or FIFA HQ.
No.
Or anything like that. But he might make quite a good interviewee for the for this subpoena case. They might want to get him on for the prosecution, a witness for the prosecution, my lord.
Yeah,
and that
Jules
was good.
Boykoff.
I like that. I think we want to get.
No, well, you know what? It's a very
valid
point of view, and we've been talking about it all the way through this podcast series, and it's very interesting to get somebody else's perspective on it. And thank you very much, Jules, for that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I want to get hold of his book. Right. Okay, here we go. We're going to end the quiz with Kenny's quiz, everybody's favourite time of the week. Play along at home. Oh, the pipe is out.
The pipe is out.
I don't think we had it last week. I think you were missing.
And I had the pipe last week. I didn't have it the week before.
Is that why you did so badly? Right.
Yes.
We're returning to a familiar and favourite theme of Kenny's quiz, which is you are the ref.
Come on. Who's the person in the black?
Yes, that's you.
That's me this week.
You are that person, by the way.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. 3 questions on laws of the game.
Do I have to pick
Number
a number?
1.
Okay.
No, I've just got 3.
Okay. Here we go.
Your team awards a penalty to the away side.
Your team?
Sorry, the ref. So you play for a team, but there's a penalty against you. Okay. Yeah. Just as the striker runs up to kick it, the home team's, okay, that's yours. The home team's mascot suddenly leaps up from behind the net, performs a wild, distracting dance. Like that. If you're on the video, you can see what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Okay. The penalty taker completely skies the ball over the bar, turns around and furiously demands a retake, saying the mascot will completely put him off. What do?
Award a retake, send the mascot off.
Not bad, Ken.
Okay.
Not bad. So the official answer is because the mascot is classified as an outside agent, their interference means play must stop before the ball becomes dead. So the correct decision is to order a retake. But you don't send the mascot off; you book him. Well, you don't actually book him because he's an outside agent, so you can't book him. But you send him away.
That sounds like sending off to me. That
No, you don't
sounds
send him
quite
off.
like
No,
you send him
no,
away. You don't
no,
send him off. You send him away.
no, because if you send a player off, he's got to go into the dressing room. He's not allowed
Okay.
anywhere in view of the pitch. Whereas
Gotta
here,
be.
just say go,
You've got to
mate,
give
go
me
and
that
stand
one,
over
haven't you?
there.
You've got to
Go
give
and
me
stand
that
over
one.
there. I'm gonna give you that one. Yeah, I'm gonna give you that
Thank
one.
you very much.
I'll give you that one. Right, number 2. Well done. Good work. Right, number 2. During a game, a defender defending in his own area hears a whistle from the crowd, thinks it's the referee who's blown his whistle, picks the ball up. What do you do?
That's a really good one.
Is it a penalty? He's picked the ball up. The referee hasn't blown his whistle. Is it not a penalty? What do you do?
It's a penalty because I'm afraid, unfortunately, the extraneous whistle is out of anybody's control on the pitch. So it is simply crowd noise, and I'm afraid you can't react to crowd noise. So I'm afraid my opinion would be I'm awfully sorry, mate, but it is a penalty.
Yeah, I mean that's the obvious conclusion.
But wrong.
But it's wrong, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's wrong. When I did this quiz, by the way, that's what I said as well. But
and you're a ref, I should say.
Yeah, I know, yeah. Let's not we'll gloss over that bit.
I'm going to come down to your next game with a whistle. Embarrass you.
Yeah. So under IFAB Law 5, and when I read this, I thought, oh yeah, I forgot about it. Under which is not a great defense for a referee.
No.
Under IFAB Law 5, if a spectator blows a whistle that interferes with play, the referee must immediately stop the game. Because the whistle came from the crowd, it is treated as an outside agent, meaning that you must restart play with a drop ball to the goalkeeper.
Wow, would never got that.
No, I was surprised at that.
I would never got the drop ball to the goalkeeper bit.
No, I know. That's harsh, isn't it? Harsh on the attacking team, really, isn't it?
I think what we should do as an experiment next season to make ourselves extremely popular is take a whistle to every football match we go to and see what the ref does.
Well, do you know what? When I've been looking at these laws, when there was one particular which I don't know if I've got on this quiz. No, I haven't actually, but I answered it on the basis of what I've seen with my own eyes in like the Premier League and the Championship, only to find out that was completely the wrong answer. So even proper top level referees are getting these things wrong.
Right, interesting.
And that involved what happens if the ball's kind of hit and it hits something like an outside agent, which seems to be the word of this quiz, and then deflects in. And I'm thinking Liverpool v Sunderland, where the ball hit a beach ball that one of the Liverpool fans had thrown on to the pitch.
Oh, the famous coffee
from
cup
behind the goal.
At Derby against
the ball hit the ball hit the beach ball and went in, and the goal was given. Coffee cup one at Derby Forest, where excuse me, the goalkeeper's about to come and clear the ball. As literally swung his leg, he's about to connect with the ball hits a coffee cup which had blown onto the pitch and just diverts a bit, and as a result, the ball just balloons up in the air, and Paul Pescasolido slotted it into an empty net. Both those goals were allowed, but under the laws of the game, they shouldn't have been. So even the refs are getting these wrong, mate. So don't feel bad about it. Okay?
Thank you very much.
Don't feel bad. Question 3, final question. It's 1-1 here, Ken. So this is for the decider, mate. An attacker is standing 3 yards offside. 3 yards offside.
Yeah.
Is he Kiefer Moore or what? He's standing 3 yards offside when a teammate passes the ball forward towards him. A defender inside the box deliberately handles the ball to block it, to stop it getting to the offside player. But the ball ricochets off that straight to the attacker who's offside, who scores. What do you do, mate? As a referee, what do you do?
It's a goal. It's goal because two things. He's only offside when he actually interacts with the ball. He wouldn't have done that by the time the player handled it. So, I mean, the argument is if he deliberately handles it, it could be a free kick at that point. but I'm assuming the referee is playing advantage at that point and allows the player to go forward and score the goal. So I'm awarding the goal based on the fact that he wasn't offside because he hadn't received the ball, and secondly that I'm giving him the advantage of advantage.
Well, it did receive the ball.
He didn't touch the ball.
Yeah. So he's standing 3 yards offside.
Yeah.
The ball gets played towards him. A defender dives in to block it with his hand.
But he
hits it with his hand, but it still goes to the offside attacker who scores.
Yeah, I'm giving that as a
no, that's fine. Yeah. Okay, fine. The common sense thing would be to say advantage to the attacking team because they've scored a goal. Therefore, you don't want to penalise them by taking that goal off them. But unfortunately, under the laws of the game, it's no goal.
Oh.
You cannot award a goal because the attacker is offside. This is where the laws get so ridiculous. So and I broke down the rule for you here. So offside. Under IFAB Law 11, an offside player is penalised if they gain an advantage by playing the ball after it is rebounded or deflected off an opponent. Crucially here, a deliberate handball, even though it's deliberate, is legally classified in the laws as a deflection, not a deliberate play of the ball. Therefore, the attacker's offside position...
A deliberate handball is not a deliberate play on the ball.
It's absolutely mad, isn't it? It's mad because again, I got this question wrong because I said exactly the same as you. And bear in mind, I'm a referee. But then again, I said, well, common sense dictates. And one of the things you're taught as a referee is don't use common sense and don't penalise an attacking team if they've scored. Goals trump everything is the kind of overall kind of. Anyway, by the way, obviously. So because under the laws of the game, deliberate handball is deflection. That means it's not a deliberate play, which means the player's offside. And then when you look at sequences of offences, which we always do, because the defender's handball happened before the attacker touched the ball and was offside, the handball is the first offence committed whilst the ball is in play. Therefore, you have to take that decision. So
you can't play advantage. You can't play advantage.
You can't play advantage because the goal itself is illegal due to the fact the player's offside. Do you see what I mean? So you can't play advantage because the player is offside when he receives the ball.
I think the rule makers are getting themselves tied up a little bit here.
Oh yeah. So say the defender hadn't touched the ball at all.
Yeah, he's offside.
Is offside. Yeah,
clearly offside. Yeah.
Yeah. So but because of the laws of the game, he's still clearly offside because the defender's interference isn't classed as classed as accidental. Yeah, it's deliberate. Yeah. So the final decision is a penalty kick.
I wouldn't like to defend that in the court of law. I wouldn't.
I think it's a rubbish law. It's a
in front of the Attorney General of New Jersey.
No, it's a terrible. Maybe they should do that. Maybe once they finish with ticketing, say right now we've got you. Can we give you some recommendations to take back to IFAB, please?
Yeah, that would be a sensible thing to do.
Yeah.
So that means I've lost. I feel like
I've lost 2-1. That was hard,
goal, to be honest. By that deliberate handball.
I would take that to VAR if I was you.
Yeah, I definitely would.
Yeah, but it does highlight, in my opinion, what is an absolutely stupid rule.
Yeah,
and again, it just takes out any kind of common sense, doesn't it?
We should do a whole podcast on stupid rules.
Well, if I'm playing a ball through to an attacker and a defender does something deliberate to try and block it, but doesn't in the end block it, whether it's illegal or not, you should start a football rules podcast.
We just go through a book from 1 to 8 million.
It would be the best podcast I've ever done. I might do that actually. After this,
the most boring one ever, but interesting at the same time.
No, it wouldn't. It would be great because we could talk about all the rubbish that goes on with VAR every week.
Yeah, love it.
We should do that. That's a great podcast. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that. Right. Anyway, we're still before that happens. We are still obsessed and tuned in fully and frankly to the World Cup.
Can't wait.
So, can't wait. Next week, we're going to have a look at Argentina squad. That was announced a couple of days ago. Lionel Messi's in, which is great. We're going to have a look at how they're going to get on, and we're going to do one more.
Germany?
One more squad. Germany, yeah. Let's do Germany, yeah. So then we would have done...
I think we've done top 6, haven't we?
We did England, Portugal last week. We've done Brazil, Spain this week.
Yeah.
Argentina and one other next week.
Did we do France last week? I can't remember.
We did France. Yeah, we did France last week. We did England and France last week.
England and France last week.
Because we decided, didn't we, that the French front three were far better than the English.
Yeah, we did. So I reckon we do Argentina and Germany then.
Okay, well, let's do that.
And I reckon they're the top 6, are they?
There and thereabouts. I'll have a look. I don't
Yeah.
think there's anybody else who's going to trouble the horses. So let's have a look. So
Let's
we'll
do
do that. And more fun. There'll be more news, more games, more Kenny's quiz to bring you. Until then, have a great week, everybody. He looks a bit forlorn now, don't you? Look a bit sad.
I can't
You look
believe
like
we robbed that last goal. You know
No,
what I'm
actually,
doing?
look-
I'm taking all my players off the pitch.
Yeah, but you can't do that. You can do it now, but you can't do it
Well,
in
so I'm
a
gonna
couple
do
of
it
weeks'
now.
time.
I'm
You
not going to
can't
do it in
now.
a couple of weeks' time. I'm disgusted now. I'm going to sit in the dressing room and sulk.
Well, you can probably get away with it now without the whole thing being abandoned. But if you do it in a couple of weeks' time, then I'm afraid I'm going to have to penalise you under the new laws that we
my
talked
God.
about a few weeks ago in
That's just
the
adding
podcast.
insult to injury.
Till then, my friends, have a great week. Look after each other. Look after yourselves. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Take your time.
It's the Road to World Cup 26 podcast, your deep dive into everything FIFA World Cup every single week. Part of the Global Sports Podcast Network.